Come on, John. Crush the forehand. Come on. Crush it. Come on. It's too weak. Crush it. Come on. Harder. Throw that racket at the ball. Oh my gosh. I saw this tip on YouTube. It said, throw my racket on my forehand. So I just tried it and I lost total control of the ball. The idea of throwing your racket on the forehand is a bit of a problem for me. And in today's video, we're going to cover what you should really be trying to do on your forehand to optimize both your power and your control. So should we be trying to throw our racket on the forehand? And I understand the idea of staying loose and relaxed, but the idea of throwing the racket, the intention of feeling like you're throwing the racket, is definitely going to cause you to lose control. And one of the reasons why is that when you're coming in and you're going to throw the racket head, you have to be so loose to throw it, to release it, that the racket strings are only going to be facing your target for a fraction of an instant. And we know that the ball is only on the strings for 1/25th of a second. So we don't have much time to try and get this lined up correctly. So through the hitting zone, you want to feel like the racket strings square up on the ball and pass through the ball and carry the ball out. What makes a tennis shot feel great and give you great control is when the ball compresses into the string bed. And what causes the ball to compress in the string bed is the string bed is going to be square on the back of the ball. So that not only does the ball compress and rebound, but the strings also act like a trampoline and they rebound and then release. So that's how you get a solid shot on your forehand. That will not happen if you come in with the intention of throwing the racket and you don't square up on the ball. In that case, you're going to not have control directionally of the ball, and you're not going to get that ball to sink deeply into your strings. So the other challenge with that idea is that there's such a disconnect between the racket head and your core and your body that timing this ball is going to be very, very difficult. And you're just not really going to synchronize your movements correctly. So if you're nice and relaxed, and you've seen this in my other videos, and you get a good strong coil, and you relax and you rotate first and let the racket lag behind and then catch up, the racket head will move into contact. But when I'm coming into contact, I don't feel like I'm bending the wrist here or flicking or flexing. It just moves by itself. It has to catch up, and I'm holding it as it comes in, holding it. And through the hitting zone, I'm holding it, and then the momentum lets the racket head get past the hand, which we certainly want that to happen if we're relaxed, and then come around to the finish. But we do not want to be flicking into the ball for the reasons that we've talked about, and you're not going to get as much power or timing or control. So the best forehands are the forehands that are very organized and sequential in their movement. And I think the idea of releasing and throwing the racket creates a disconnect that's going to lead to big trouble for your forehand. And as a final thought on the idea of throwing your racket head and having a very loose wrist, I can tell you after just doing this a dozen or so times, I can feel it in my wrist. I don't want to have an active flicking wrist on any shot in tennis. So really the power and control comes from somewhere else. The wrist is just a link in the movement. It is not the generator of power or the generator of a big movement itself. So be careful about that. So I hope this video helps you. Try to avoid the idea of throwing your racket head. Instead, replace that idea with learning how to create a forehand with proper sequencing and lack of tension to create easy power with less effort. Please give us a like, leave your comments down below, subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. Stay tuned for the next video, and we'll see you then.